My name is Eva Trentin and I work at Alda Plus, and today I will moderate the debate. The first part of the conference will focus on the NEETs CBC MED Programme, which the project MYSEA is part of. So just before starting, I would just like to give you a couple of instructions to use the platform. You can use the chat tab to type questions and comments at any time. Please just indicate the name of the person you are addressing. Simultaneous interpretation in English, French, and Italian is available. You can choose the language by clicking on the top of the screen on the interpretation tab and adjust the volume of the language. The press will have the possibility to take the floor directly. At the end of the conference, we will allocate some time for your questions and answers. And if the press wishes to ask questions, please just raise your hand and we will give you the possibility to open your microphone. Just one last remark. Unfortunately, today, Ms. Loredana Gianne, International Cooperation Director at CIES Onlus, had an accident and she is not able to take the floor directly. So she will be replaced by Ms. Lucia Conti, Senior Program Manager of MYSEA. But Loredana is connected and she will listen to the conference. For the opening remarks, I give the floor to Ms. Elisabetta Bianca Melandri, who is founder and president of CIES Onlus since 1983. She's an expert in the planning and design of social, educational, and work inclusion programs. Ms. Melandri, you can take the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. Good morning to everybody and welcome to everybody. Let me just express my great happiness of coordinating my organization, being the coordinator, partner of this very challenging project. And we, for this reason, thank very much the ENI CBC MED Programme, which gave us the opportunity to imagine even this project and to make it become reality. Let me just introduce very briefly our NGO, which, as in the presentation has been stated, is working since almost 40 years. It's 38 now, and why we thought we were enabled to think and to implement this project. What do we bring on the table? Our organization has a number of sectors of interventions. All of them are united with a fil rouge, which is the effort of promoting inclusion of the most vulnerable. Usually the most vulnerable in all societies in the north and in the south of the world are children, minors, youth, and women. Not only, of course, also refugees. And these are the three categories which are really in our DNA. We started our activity a long time ago, especially for trying to support these three categories of society. We have one sector which is dealing with cooperation in a number of countries in the Mediterranean side of the African continent, but also in sub-Saharan, like in Mozambique. We have been in Angola for a long time, in Zimbabwe in the past. We have a long tradition of contacts with the sub-Saharan countries, especially the SADC countries, because when we were born, we were mainly an anti-racist and anti-apartheid organization, struggling for the liberation of Nelson Mandela as a symbol of counteracting any kind of racism and discrimination. That was our beginning. Then, of course, from that beginning, we started building with our partners project opportunities. We have a concept of our work abroad, which is mainly, the key word is partnership. And this is the nice thing about this project. We are many partners and we believe very much in reciprocity. Reciprocity and partnership are the keynotes for all our for all our activities, and and we have learned a lot. For example, in addressing youth and children, we brought back in our country many innovations and suggestions that came from countries, poor countries, where education was almost a luxury. Financial allocations for education were scarce, but the innovative imagination of the people on the ground built patterns that were very useful even for us in our own society. So this is cooperation. Today, of course, things have changed a lot since our constitutions. We see that there are many similar agendas, even in the countries where we cooperate, very similar to our own country. Like, for instance, the immigration flow, which brings people to think about the relationships between cultures, interculturality. And also, of course, youth unemployment is something very spread all over the world, not to think now after the pandemic. In Italy, our sectors are intertwined and connected for the integration of our new what we call our new citizens. We don't like to call them migrants, because one is a migrant until the moment one lands into another country, if that is going to be the destination country. And once one is in that country, the acceptance country, he or she becomes a new citizen. And so we struggle for citizenship, especially for the youth who still don't have full citizenship in our country. And we do a number of things. We have devised an instrument, a tool, which is very useful for the integration of the migrant population in all our sectors of society, especially in the dialogue with public administration, and that is intercultural mediators. We form, we train, and then organize and put into service and a very great network of mediators, almost 1,000 of them all over the country, and in all crucial sectors where migrants have a dialogue, a first instance dialogue, public administration, police stations, hospitals, schools, etc. And then we have, and here we come closer to what we are putting on the table in this project. Then we have a center which is addressing vulnerable youth, whether this youth is Italian or migrant, it doesn't matter. In fact, we love very much the mixing of cultures, the mixing of points of views. And in this center, we take care of whoever arrives there. There is for youth. The youth arrives in our center, which is called Matemu, and there it's an extramural educational asset, because it's not a school, not a regular school. It works in the non-formal educational sector. But there, the interesting thing, the model that we have experimented and which we are putting on the table to share with all our partners as a best practice, is the taking care of the youth at a 360 degrees manner. In other words, very often we deal with youth which are traumatized if they come from a long migrant trip, or youth who anyway are marginalized in the society. So they have a big gap to fill in between their self-consciousness and their capacity, their willingness, and their ability to express themselves. And that is the precondition to find a work. So in this center, we try to rehabilitate really youth who have difficulties in expression through a number of methods. Mainly, they are based on art. Because art is a good trigger. Art is something that immediately addresses the emotional level of the personality, and it liberates other levels, cognitive levels, etc. So through theater, singing, dancing, learning how to use a music instrument, we accept the youth and forward the youth to the next steps. The next steps, of course, for those who are strangers, the next step, the immediate step, is learning our language, because that is the entrance point to any type of integration process. But then, after that, there is a service, which is the key branch of the implementation of this project, which is, we call it a space, not really a desk, a space where the youth is advised for his training path, and also accompanied in the labor market, because after recuperating all the educational assets that a youth has to approach to, if he or she is out of school, they have to go back to school. So there's the whole training part of their life, but then there is work. And work is a problem. Work is a problem for all our youth. And I know that this is a common thing all over the Mediterranean countries. So what we put on the table is this practice that we would like to share. And of course, if it is backed by serious studies on what the labor market is changing. The labor market is changing. It is evolving, hopefully, towards a sustainable world. We hope so. The ecological readapting of our economy in a green and also blue direction, which is very interesting for Italy, of course. The color blue is very strategic, since we have such big coastal realities, and recuperating the idea that our sea is such a treasure, such a powerful asset for food, for work, for beauty, for tourism, for all these sectors, but in a green manner. So green plus blue is a beautiful color, which we hope to put as a main issue in all our training paths, you know. And we strongly think that today's youth, whether they are vulnerable or not, they are going to become, of course, obviously, tomorrow's citizens. Even they take in their own hands the responsibility to convert this world in a sustainable world, in a world where environmental and social justice are the main key for their being citizens, key point for being citizens, but not as a far distant thing, not only as a job opportunity, but as a citizen behavior. We think that is crucial, and it's strategic, because our world is very small, very interconnected. COVID, unfortunately, has demonstrated this to us in a very dramatic way, how close we are. All parts of our world are very interconnected. And this consciousness of interconnection must be the entrance point to elaborate a civic attitude. Also, the changing of the labor market, as I was saying, is going to probably leave the space to new jobs, to new professions, to new capabilities, to new skills, which we have to intercept and offer as big strategic opportunities to our youth and also to our women. We know very well that the pandemic has penalized especially women and also youth that have been excluded to the school system for too long, and this is a terrible wound which we have to heal as soon as possible, because it's going to be two generations that have been highly affected by the exclusion from the intramural educational activity, which we have to recuperate as soon as possible. And then the other category is women. Women in lockdown have suffered very much, and over 90% of those who lost a job are women. Whilst instead, did you notice that all the countries where the pandemic was tackled in a very positive way and it had contained the damages were headed by a woman? So for us, it's strategic to address these two targets, especially, and to do it in a very interconnected way with all our friends and partners all around the Mediterranean Sea. This sea that unfortunately very, very often in the media is perceived as a tomb where lots of migrants die, and to rehabilitate the image of our sea as it is, a beautiful asset, a beautiful resource for all of us, it's fundamental. So I wish everybody, all the partners, which I thank to be here with us, connected. We all hope, I was saying to Martina is one of our junior project manager, together with Lucia, and of course great Loredana, which I salute, who had a very bad accident recently. But our team is quite wide in CIES, and we are relating to all of you who are here, and we hope very soon, pandemia allowing us to encounter ourselves not with this so-called social distance. By the way, during this period we've done all our best to abolish the term social distance and to substitute it with physical distance. But we would like, in our means, however it is possible, to keep instead social closeness, social contact, close contact. Hopefully we will all meet somewhere in one of our beautiful countries. I hope all of them. And so I wish you really with all my heart all our best work. And I thank very much, especially the representatives. I know that we have Dr. Fabrizio Palloni here with us, representing the NEETs CBS MED Programme, to whom I renew all my thanks for allowing this project to take place, and of course all the partners of all our countries. Thank you very much.
Ms. Melandri, as mentioned, thank you very much for the introduction to this conference. As you mentioned, now I would introduce Mr. Fabrizio Palloni for the presentation of the NEET CBC MED Programme. He is the coordinator of the Joint Technical Secretariat Managing Authority Programme NEET CBC MED, and he is also project manager with 20 years experience in the whole Euro-Mediterranean region. Welcome, Mr. Palloni. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you both. In truth, as you both have introduced me, it is a sincere pleasure being in this occasion. I am not alone representing the Joint Technical Secretariat. I am together with the two colleagues who closely follow and assist the MYSEA project. These are the senior expert Alassad Messadi from Tunisia and the junior expert Alessandro Zedda from Italy. They are in truth the JTS shoulders on which the project can rely. And I must witness that they are very committed, such as the Wood project is committed. I speak about commitment because MYSEA project is a relevant, important project in the frame of the strategic projects funded by the EU through the Managing Authority for NEET CBC MED Programme. As told before by Elisabetta Melandri, the target group of needs of youth and of women and refugees and migrants and are the core target of the projects of this project. We have to mention that in particular for the Southern Shore, women working in agriculture are a sound component of the labor force, and nonetheless they are underpaid with respect to the colleagues men. Youth have a general country transversal problem in accessing the labor market and accessing good job positions. And this project is facing, in particular, those groups that are mostly vulnerable, such as those young people that are out of training or an educational path. So the experimentation that will be carried out in the frame of the project will be important to set new policies allowing employability and employment creation. We, together with my colleagues, Lassad Messadi and Alessandro Zedda, we are aware of the importance of these projects, in particular the setup of the training package, the delivery of certificates for trainees, the launch of 15 associations to promote sustainable and eco-responsible innovation, the creative workshop to learn skills in digital storytelling, photography, video making. So delivering new skills that will increase the employability of young people, needs, women. There are the awareness of all these important achievements make us feel more responsible with respect to the project. The project is also involved in cluster activity together with other actions already active in the field of employment creation and improvement of employability. And then there will be an environment will enhance the achievement of the projects and share the outputs from this project toward other projects, and as well receiving relevant outputs and also accessing to the target groups in the 5 countries that, just as a reminder, are Italy, Greece, Lebanon, Tunisia, and Jordan. I thank you again. I think that the most important things will be told after me, so I am glad to give you back the floor. Thank you very much.
Loni. Now we are going to get an overview of the MYSEA project, and I'm glad to give the floor to Lucia Conti, Senior Project Manager of MYSEA, who is replacing Ms. Loredana Giannu, International Cooperation Director of CIES Onlus, who cannot be with us today due to an accident. Ms. Conti, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eva. Good morning. I reiterated that I replace Loredana Giannu, my director, and she's with us, and I wish her a fast recovery. My name is Lucia Conti, and I am the Senior Project Manager of the MYSEA project. Today, I briefly describe the choreography of the event, and then I present to you in detail MYSEA project, even I have only 7 minutes available. I share my screen. I start with the choreography. The conference is divided in 3 parts. The first part is specifically dedicated to the MYSEA project, with the intervention of our president Melandri and of Mr. Pallone, that I thanks for the presentation. Afterwards, speakers will outline the challenges and opportunities that the project will face in the blue and green economy. In the final part, speakers will present specific data from the 5 countries involved in the project. Then there will be a question and answer section open to question to the journalist. Okay, I started with my PowerPoint, which consists in 14 slides. First of all, I tell you that MYSEA, the acronym, means Mediterranean Youth Needs Women Advancing Skill Employment and Awareness in Blue and Green Economy. In this presentation, I will give you an overview of the project main data, challenges and opportunities, aim and objective, direct beneficiaries and target group, activities and expected result. The project is funded by the EU under the big project NEETs CBC MED Programme, which is a big program in the Mediterranean. The budget is €3,600,000 and the contribution of the EU is the 90%. The duration of the project is 30 months. The geographic coverage is the following. The project comprises 5 countries. Italy with 2 provinces, Lazio and Sicily, Greece, Lebanon, Tunisia and Jordan. The project is implemented by 6 partners. CIES Onlus, we are the lead. And then there is the University of Palermo, Euro Training from Greece, Lebanese Development Network, the Tunisian Union of Social Solidarity from Tunisia, and the Jordan University of Science and Technology. The project aims to address common challenges in the Mediterranean area. First of all, youth unemployment. Youth unemployment in the Mediterranean is the highest in the world, between 20% to 35%. Then women are underrepresented in the labor market due to social, economic and cultural barriers. 1 out of 4 youth don't have employment training or education, so they are NEETs. Then in many countries there is rigid regulation. There is also a big skill mismatch between the skill that people acquired in the educational part and the skill required by the labor market. The project at the same time will attempt to exploit opportunities, because at this moment there are major opportunities presented by a very conducive framework. The framework that consists specifically in the new EU policies concerning green and blue economy. First of all, the EU Green Deal, which apply not only to Europe, but also to the external action. At the same time, there is a proliferation of sustainable and eco-responsible innovations in agri-food and waste management, with a growing need of new professional skills and profiles. The big aim of the project is to increase employability for youth, women, and NEETs in the agri-food waste management sector through training tailored to overcome this big mismatch between the formal education and the skill required by the labor market. Our target, specific target, are 1,000 young people, women, and NEETs that through labor market-oriented training combined with work experience will acquire the required skill to enter in the labor market. The strategy is a multi-stakeholder strategy. We will bring in together all sectors, ranging from public institutions, key ministry, local authorities, private sector enterprises, also TVET institution, NGO. The direct beneficiaries are 1,000 youths from 18 to 24 years old. Then NEETs up to 30 years old, women all ages. The target groups and the entities involved are 500 private from the private sector, so enterprises and NGO, 50 TVET institutions, and 15 public institutions, including key ministry and local authorities. The project is implemented through a revolutionary approach. We attempt to tackle the problem situation, which is the unemployment, by bringing together all sector, all actor beneficiaries, youth, women, NEETs, and then TVET institution, private, public institution, and also by interconnected all sectors, social, economic, and educational sector. The activities comprise 5 work packages. The first package of activities management. Our approach is result-based management. This means that we will disseminate our result widely. For this reason, the second package, which is cross-cutting, is communication and visibility. The third package is research and analysis. This is a very specific activity. So this is very important because on the basis of the research, we will design the CV curricula and the training packages. Then there is from learning to hearing, which is the actual training that we will provide to beneficiaries. And then rethinking pathways to employment. These include all the agreements that we will sign with the private sector alliances and so on. This is the outputs. There will be 2 cross-border outputs. One is the cross-border methodology. The other one is the statistical reports. These are the output from the research. And then there are outputs by countries. I don't want to indulge in all the output. These are basically a working training package to provide the youth, women, and NEETs with new skills. But then I want just to highlight that we would like to sign 90 employment contracts per country, also to provide 200 certificates to direct beneficiary per country upon completion of the training. The expected result are 1,000 beneficiaries will be trained, 450 employment contracts will be signed, 20 agreement will be signed, 500 economic actors will be involved, 50 TVET institutions involved, 50 associations for for innovation, new skill will be created. I just invite all of you to visit our website. This is the link. Also, to follow us in the social media. Thank you very much. I finished.
This introduction to the activities and the project. After this initial overview about MED, we can follow with the two thematic interventions by expert speakers related to the main topic addressed by the project. Mr. Mahmoud, consultant for international development and cooperation project, and especially in public policies and strategies on employment. From Tunisia, he will offer an overview of employment in green and blue economy in the Mediterranean area, and specifically the case of Tunisia. I just would like to highlight that the speech will be in French, so you can choose the translation language by clicking on the interpretation tab on the top of the screen. Mr. Madkour, you have 7 minutes. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and I apologize to speak in French to avoid you my very bad English and Italian. Buongiorno a tutti, bonjour à toutes et à tous. Ça me fait réellement plaisir d'être avec vous, avec ma collègue Emina Keshwendi. Et là, je vous salue de la Tunisie. Nous fonctionnons justement en tandem entre les problématiques liées à l'environnement.
Among the problems of the environment, thanks to my colleague who is agronomist, I'm going to talk about the different issues in employment. I'm going to present you the state of things, and I'm going to start my presentation. I hope this is fine for everyone. So the key point that I would like to highlight, and I would like to thank all our partners. We shared very nice experiences on our professional levels. I say hello to Viera and also his Tunisian partner. As I was saying, the key point that we would like to highlight in this little presentation is that employment in green and blue economy has to be done in a Mediterranean perspective. And starting from this, we would like to explain that for Tunisia, in our economy, we don't create so much waste, we don't pollute so much. Because our economy is quite little, we don't produce so much. We don't produce so much waste. So this is why we are even more sensitive to the problem of waste production. And so we have to present also this aspect. Why do we talk about blue economy? We have two constraints and two opportunities. First of all, because our economy is organized in such a way, and you're going to see that, we try to develop an externalization which is quite positive. But we don't have to forget that Tunisia is really anchored in its Mediterranean area. because of fishing. And we have understood also, thanks to our partners in the north, as Italia, we are exposed to all the touristic activities too. And one of the initiatives, Blue Season, is an initiative which we carried out with different actors, with some associations, such as Grand Bleu in Monastir and other associations that try to develop these opportunities of economy, but show also the fragility, the weakness of these activities. We have many issues as regards legal fishery in Tunisia that deteriorates all the ecosystem in Tunisia. And here we show you also the Gulf de Gabes, in which there is the erosion of the coast. And so many different animal species were affected by this erosion of the littoral. And so Tunisia is interested in developing these different employments and jobs regarding the blue economy, because we are concerned by climatic change. And if we don't intervene in the south of the Mediterranean, we are not going to make it. There are many different exotic species of animals, such as blue crab, which is destroying our ecosystem in Tunisia, but it's also a new opportunity of fishing. So there are many opportunities, but all these different environmental issues can be also a challenge. If we want to develop an activity involving recycling, we are not able at this moment to do it still, because the training of the young people is not there yet. And so we need some more training, and we have to evolve these value chains to prepare young people to this kind of activities. Let's see a little bit an overview of the Tunisian economy. We are an agricultural and fishery-based country. And so in a perspective of blue and green economy, we have the means to become a green and blue country. We have also many other services linked to the environment, but we don't have to forget also the rest of the activities which are very polluting, such as transport or commerce or industries. On the point of view of the calculation of the greenhouse effects, we can see that the agri-food industry is the main source of greenhouse gases, and so this is the main sector we would need to reconvert in order to decrease the number of greenhouse gases. We have $20 million which are used every day for the waste management, and you can see from this table that we have a very bad situation regarding the employment situation for young people and women. NEET in Tunisia are a very big problem. Just to give you a shocking number, we have 1 million NEET over a total population of 11 million people. So many people at the age of 11 or 12 leave school. We have then 60,000 people that abandon studies after that. And you can see the situation of unemployment. If you are a woman, you have 40.7% of unemployed women, and otherwise, if you are a man. And from this, you can understand that there is a lack of opportunities for young people and women. But we have some activities that could be developed in the framework of this program, such as agriculture. You can also see in this picture, this is an artisanal fishery, and this is a very heavy job for them, and it's very challenging. You can see that women are in a very precarious state. And you can see other activities in this presentation that could be an opportunity for young people. And here I just mentioned one of this opportunity, which is the integrated management of waste. We are going to focus on the management of waste. We base our so Tunisia produces 8 million of tons of solid waste. 11% is
de ménage, de ménagères et tout. Donc 95% de ces déchets produits sont enfouis, c'est-à-dire ils ne sont pas gérés, ils sont enfouis dans les zones humides, dans les sols. Et ce que je trouve, en fait, ce que nous trouvons alarmant, c'est le fait que 15% de ces déchets.
Good morning, Mr. Ornelli. Thank you for being here with us today. I will try to understand. I'm trying to understand if Mr. Madkour.
Buongiorno a tutte e a tutti.
Great. We can. Okay. So we can probably go back to Mr. Madkour later. We can so then now move forward with our next speaker, Mr. Ornelli, who is considered of the Executive Board for Economic Development, Commerce and Crafts, Research, Startup and Innovation of the Lazio region. And he will present the main initiatives in Lazio for sustainable development in the Euro-Mediterranean blue economy, aiming mainly at creating employment opportunities with a focus on young women and needs. The speech, I think, will be in Italian.
Yes.
So great. So I remind to all the participants that you can access the interpretation room on the top of the screen. Mr. Ornelli, thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Grazie a tutte e a tutti voi. Per me è un grande piacere portare il saluto della Regione Lazio, del suo presidente Nicola Zingaretti e del mio collega di giunta Claudio Di Berardino, che avrebbe voluto essere presente con me oggi, che lui ha le deleghe al lavoro, alla formazione, quindi altre deleghe molto importanti, comunicano bene con un progetto così bello e così importante. Noi siamo contenti che MYSEA si svolga anche nella Regione Lazio nel quadro di un partenariato che guarda ad altri paesi, ad altre regioni del Mediterraneo. Pensiamo che il tema proposto il progetto sia molto in linea con il modo in cui la Regione Lazio sta scrivendo la nuova programmazione unitaria delle risorse europee dal 2021 al 2027, sulle quali investiremo circa 7 miliardi di euro e che mettono al centro di questa programmazione un'idea molto chiara. La pandemia e la crisi sanitaria, che è anche una crisi sociale ed economica, ha messo fine in modo definitivo a un vecchio modello di sviluppo che non era più in grado di essere sostenibile e che non era più in grado di garantire la coesione sociale e diciamo il progresso. Il tema centrale dell'Europa, che è alla base anche delle scelte che l'Europa ha fatto importanti nel senso di una ripresa degli investimenti con il recovery plan, non potrà che essere una scelta che mette al centro il tema della costruzione di un nuovo modello di sviluppo sostenibile. Non solo, ma anche rimettere in campo un investimento sulle persone e in particolar modo sulle persone che hanno subito di più le conseguenze negative della crisi, che sono appunto i giovani e le donne. Questo ce lo dicono tutti i numeri, che erano numeri complicati già prima della pandemia, lo sono diventati ancora di più, e questa è una grande sfida, perché non può esistere nessun sogno europeo se noi non rimettiamo in moto l'ascensore sociale e non creiamo le condizioni affinché attraverso investimenti sull'istruzione, sulla formazione, sul capitale umano, sulle competenze, noi diciamo alle madri e ai padri che ha senso sperare in un futuro in cui i figli potranno vivere meglio dei genitori. Questo ascensore sociale da un certo momento in poi nel nostro paese e in molti paesi, soprattutto dell'Europa meridionale, si è interrotto, già prima della pandemia, ripeto. Il nuovo modello di sviluppo dovrà essere un modello di sviluppo che punta a ridurre le disuguaglianze e a riaccendere i motori della speranza, della fiducia nel futuro, che è l'unica scintilla che rende possibile determinare condizioni di progresso. Questo va fatto, ripeto, puntando in modo molto forte sui temi dell'ambiente, della sostenibilità, dell'economia circolare, che sono uno dei paradigmi del nuovo modello di sviluppo, e puntando sull'innovazione, che non è solo innovazione digitale, sulla formazione di nuove competenze. Noi abbiamo diversi strumenti che possono dialogare con il progetto MYSEA. Io mi occupo e sto scrivendo insieme alle strutture regionali quella parte di programmazione unitaria 21-27 che è sotto il FESR, i fondi europei per lo sviluppo, il mio collega Di Berardino il Fondo Sociale Europeo, poi abbiamo un'altra collega.
To work with another colleague of ours who deals with the agri-food sector, which is a very important sector in our region as well. But the main idea, the main concept is that we are programming all these activities in an integrated way. So we try to coordinate all the projects among themselves so that we can build like a toolkit that can be useful in order to face the new challenges for the new development model. In the next few days, we will launch some activities in order to launch the smart specialization strategy in the Lazio region. So we want to develop and to invest new resources in the research field for the innovation and the digital transfer. And we want to do that in the framework of the green and blue economy. So that's the first time that our region, Lazio region, will include a strategy with a blue economy criteria. Of course, the blue economy is a cross-border sector, which involves tourism as well, food, the logistics, and the main routes in the sea So we will need to develop a new development model so that the Mediterranean can be a very big space, not just for the economic point of view, but also for the political and social point of view, so that we can establish a clear cooperation and we can measure, like in a very concrete way, the data of the new development model. Over the past 30 years, we have worked very hard, thanks to the support of the government and thanks to the activity of our president, Luca Zingaretti. We have established a place, a center in Ostia, in Lazio region, which deals with energy, with the production of the area, and that's a very, very important center that we have established and developed. So we want to launch this district in order to give new power to all the sectors involved in the blue economy, in order to create a new employability for the youth and for many other people as well. As far as the circular economy is concerned, we have many examples, many good examples, but we can keep growing. We will have many important tools. We will have a lot of resources, more than 400 million euros, in order to develop new strategies for the renewable energy and to have a transition to establish this circular economy pattern, in order to become eco-friendly, in order to continue the research activities. We have invested a lot of resources on research, on infrastructures, and on people. One of the main activities of the new programming is the industrial area. So we want to give the opportunity to the youth to go to work to the enterprises, to develop new research programs together with university. We also want to give them the possibility to have a bottom-up approach. So we want to deal with universities, to cooperate with schools. We have launched a program which is a startup school economy. Thanks to this program, we have trained more than 1,000 young people of our high schools, and we train them so that they can develop an enterprise culture. We taught them how to create a startup, to set up a startup, and how to deploy their skills together with other types of skills. So we wanted them to create some teams so that they could have the possibility to face innovative challenges and translate their ideas into new enterprises. We also launched another very important program together with my colleague Di Berardino. That is the program which is really important for me, which is a program for the future together with the European Social Fund. We invested in this program more than 50 million euro, and we also gave young people different loans so that they could launch their activities. We helped many women so that they could set up their business, or so that they could consolidate an already existing enterprise. So that was a very useful tool for the young who didn't have a family who could provide it for them, who didn't have the possibility to get a loan from the bank, for example. And this is a very important initiative in compliance with the principles of our constitution, because it is the state responsibility to remove those barriers existing that prevent individuals from fulfilling their dreams and expectations. So I think that all the activities I have explained are in line with the main objectives of your project. So these are very useful tools that we can deploy in order to help the young, the women, to need to fulfill their dreams, in order to become entrepreneurs. So we also want to help creating new employability opportunities, to create new positions in the framework of the blue economy. So let's think of the agri-food sector. There are many factors that allow us to consolidate all the supply chain so that the agri-food sector is one of the main areas in which we can focus all the new development model. We want to promote local food. We are trying to do that in the Lazio region, for example, but we have also cooperated with many important projects over the years. We wanted to help the young to enter the labor market in the agriculture sector, and we will continue doing so with the resources of the new programming period. I could go on for a very long time, and I could go on listing a lot of very important tools and opportunities that we are trying to seize. So all the good activities, the best practices of Lazio region. But right now, I just want to tell you one thing, which is the most important thing, as I already told Loredana Jonne, that is the following thing. Lazio region is very interested in this project, so we are eager to see all the results of the project, and we are willing to help all the partners in order to achieve the ambitious goals that we have ahead of us. So we are going to cooperate together. You can count on us, and good luck, everyone. I really hope we can achieve our goals, our targets, and I really hope that these projects will contribute to establish a new culture, as we were saying at the beginning of the conference, so that the Mediterranean Sea is not just related to negative events. We want the Mediterranean area to be a very big place in order to promote, to foster democracy, culture, human progress, in order to build a new European model. So we are here with you, and we want to contribute in an active way to these projects. So thank you very much for your attention.
Ornelli, overview of the available tool to face the future challenges related to the sustainable development in the Mediterranean area. We can now move forward with the next speaker, Mr. Silvio Bologna, who is a researcher at the University of Palermo and teacher of labor law. He will introduce the issue of the MYSEA project and the Mediterranean in general, such as employment, gender gaps within the framework of social and labor legislation. I would just like to remind you that if you have any kind of question, you can type the questions on the chat. Mr. Bologna, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the organizer for inviting me. I will talk about the topics of the project under a labor law perspective, with a specific focus on gender equality and skills mismatch and politics to ensure the resocialization of most disadvantaged people within Mediterranean society. My perspective is not quantitative but qualitative, the perspective of a law scholar, and my point of departure is the main rationale of labor law, which is the fight against social exclusion. Labor law as a technique of regulation of social power, and labor law conceived in a broad sense as a technique to protect the weaker part of the contract of employment, but the weaker part of contemporary citizenship. And of course, by taking into account the data previously showed by the other speakers, so without a doubt, women and youth are most vulnerable people within the Mediterranean area, and specifically within the states involved by the project. What can it be, the role of labor law? Well, I would like to start with the main principles of the International Labour Organization, which are a common set of principles and rights and freedom applicable to all the member states of the organization. And we have to remember that Lebanon, Jordan, Tunisia, Italy, and Greece are part of the International Labour Organization, and these general principles are very well applicable to different political, social, and even religious experience. My point of departure is the Declaration of Philadelphia, the charter founding contemporary labor law, enacted in 1944, when the Second World War was ending. Well, the Declaration of Philadelphia is basically stating that all human beings, irrespective of race, creed, and sex, have the right to pursue their material well-being. And this declaration is the point of departure for next ILO documents, and we may talk about mandatory documents, and we have to bear in mind Convention 100 related to equal pay and remuneration. This convention, part of the ILO core convention, states that it is strictly forbidden any kind of discrimination based on sex, in terms of condition of employment, in terms of access to the labor market, in terms of salary. And we have to consider that this kind of convention has to be applied and fully respected by all the ILO member states, irrespective of the condition of having ratified or not the same convention. Apart from this, we have to consider the ILO 2030 agenda for decent work. We are in front of a soft law document, which is not mandatory, but has a significant political relevance. And the agenda for decent work wants to substantially reduce by 2020 the proportion of youth not in employment, education, or training, and it is also putting at the center the achievement of decent work for all men and women. This declaration, this agenda for decent work, has a total holistic approach, as it links gender perspective and youth training with environmental sustainability, as the same declaration states that one of the main goals is the promotion of a greener economy with the increase of share and renewable energy in the global energy mix. So there are references also to the green economy. If we shift to the regional experiences, European Union and the Mediterranean context, the same principle of equality among men and women and the proactive role of the states in training is enshrined in domestic constitutions and regional charter. Well, let's start with the European Union, Article 1 of the Charter of Nice. Human dignity is inviolable. Article 23, equality in terms of conditions of employment, salary, and working and condition among male and female workers. Article 37, the right to a high environmental protection, fully recognized by the European Union. So there is a link among environmental sustainability and fundamental workers' rights and gender gap. And same consideration may be done for the Greek and the Italian constitution, enacted after right-wing dictatorship, totally discriminating women and not recognizing the protection of environment. And same issues, and the common cutting edge, the promotion of the principle equality, may be found in the Arab Charter of Human Rights. and Tunisia, Lebanon, and Jordan are part of the Arab Charter of Human Rights, and this charter is stating that all the rights recognized by the Arab Charter of Human Rights are fully recognized without distinction on sex and social origin. And the right to work is recognized as the right of every kind of citizens, and states shall ensure all the opportunity without discrimination of sex. And I could talk also about the Tunisian constitution, for example, the Jordanian fundamental charter. For example, the Tunisian constitution is stating that l'État garantit l'égalité des chances entre l'homme et la femme pour l'accès aux diverses responsabilités et dans tous les domaines. Of course, this is the point of view of the law in book. This is the point of view of the formal constitution: fight against inequalities, promotion of proactive measures against gender gap, a promotion of positive measures to train youth people and to promote environmental sustainability. But we have to shift from the law in book to the law in context, or to the material constitution, how international and domestic powers implement principles on social rights. And without a doubt, over the past few years, it cannot be denied that the European Union has implemented neoliberal policies based on the principles of austerity. I think to the principles of the new European economic governance strictly applied to Greece since the first memorandum signed in 2010. I think to the European Central Bank letter addressed to Italy in 2011. And I think to the Arabic Springs as a political phenomenon born claiming not only political and civil freedoms, but also social rights. This is the time to shift. This is the time to create a new era, especially to cope with the gender gap. In the Mediterranean area, it's a matter of constitutional politics, a matter of constitutional implementation, and probably the pandemic emergency and all the tools put in practice by international institutions are a good chance. And I think that it is a fundamental strategy for domestic powers and regional powers to avoid probably the rise of new forms of authoritarianism and probably the rise in politics, to avoid the rise in politics of the strong man. I wish all the participants to the project good work, and many thanks again for having invited me.
Very much for this overview of the legislative and social framework. It was extremely interesting. I guess we can continue with the second part now of the conference with the representatives from the countries involved in the project, specifically from Greece, Lebanon, and Jordan, while the topics related to Tunisia and it have been already addressed in the first part of the seminar. We can, I can introduce you Mr. Yanni Lieros, who is a training expert and consultant specialized in vocational and non-formal education. And he will explain how to sketch a canvas for the MYSEA project in the training of youth, NEETs, and women. Mr. Lieros?
Hi everyone.
Hello, 1 minute. Thank you very much.
From Athens. I would like to share with you some thoughts. I would be brief. There's no doubt that given the global recession in 2009, the European countries of South experienced a serious economic crisis that have left deep negative imprint on their societies. Things seemed to be going better. Economies have started recovering, but the pandemic outbreak turned things upside down, derailing economies. Critical issues as high rates of unemployment, and especially among young people and women. In Greece, for example, unemployment rate is around 16%, the highest of all EU members. A constantly increasing number of people forced to face poverty and social exclusion, structural problems in labor markets, such as the growing gap between business needs on the one hand and the shortage, lack of trained and qualified skilled workforce on the other, the growing number of socially disadvantaged people outside of the labor market. And at this point, we should make an explicit mention to youth, mainly NEETs and women. All these are indicative factors that actually, one way or another, pose a threat to economic prosperity and social cohesion and require an integrated and coherent supranational response. So that said, in the light of the aforementioned considerations, adult lifelong learning, vocational training are of significant paramount importance addressing and tackling social exclusion. Being a mechanism for reducing and alleviating economic and social disparities, adult education and training can be the connecting, the missing link between socially excluded youth and women and labor market, providing equal opportunities to all, mobilizing the full potential of all people and promoting social inclusion. Now, what remains, the challenge raised by this debate, is to outline, to sketch how adult education and training could address the needs of youth, NEETs and women for successfully entering the labor market. Such an approach would be useful for the implementation of the MYSEA project, as it could be the basis for achieving one of the project's aims that is related to the training and the labor inclusion of individuals with distinct social characteristics and needs. And finally, such an intervention should aspire to generate a fruitful dialogue and interaction among the project partners, offering them the chance to further elaborate on their next steps for the MYSEA project. Finis, thank you for your. Finis, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we can move forward with the next speaker, Ms. Lo from Lebanon. She's an expert in energy transition, governance, and geopolitics. And she's also Middle East and North Africa Director at the Natural Resource Governance Institute, in charge of setting the strategies for the region. She will explain how the economic crisis might be triggered for a shift towards the renewable sector. Thank you very much for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and I would try to be as fast as quick as my colleague from Greece, and just to explain like the energy situation in the country in Lebanon and how it could be the crisis that Lebanon is undergoing now could be an opportunity to move into clean energy, into renewables, and how that could be a possibility to reduce poverty at least and open up new opportunities for employment. So if we can go to the next slide. Thank you for the help in these slides. So as I said, like very quickly, we'll go over like the many challenges facing the energy sector in Lebanon, and then we will look at some of the opportunities that the latest economic crisis is creating in Lebanon, the oil and gas sector that is part of the government agenda, and the renewable energy sector, and we'll end up with some opportunities and recommendations. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So unfortunately, some of the things that I'll be talking about might seem very old for you, so you'll feel that you're going back in history like 10, 20, 30 years back, but unfortunately this is the situation in the country. So as many maybe on this call know, that Lebanon, the Lebanese authorities are unable to provide 24/7 electricity for the Lebanese population and for the residents of Lebanon. And therefore, there are two sources of electricity provision in Lebanon. You have the Lebanese authorities providing electricity to people, Electricité du Liban, which is the only utility in the country that is allowed to sell electricity to the population. And then you have the private generators that do complement the shortage of electricity in the country. So basically Lebanese and the residents of Lebanon do get 24 hours of electricity from different sources. The other problem is like, yes, different sources, but with different tariffs as well. So the electricity provided by the government is subsidized, while the public generators or the private generators go by the rate of the market, and it's not subsidized. And it's ironically, people do pay for the private generators, even if it's higher than the public electricity. But there are a high percentage of people that get the the public electricity. They don't pay the price for it. So, and they don't pay their invoices. And this is one of the problems for Lebanon. We're not going to go into the electricity problems, but just tackle issues that to know that residents in the country pay two fees, two invoices for the government and for private generators. And this is why it is very expensive for anyone, resident or commercial or industry, to be able to be competitive, because they pay higher prices of electricity. The other problem that we have as well is the source of this energy. Lebanon relies mainly on imported fuel, and sometimes it is tainted fuel, as we know that they're not up to the specifications and to the standard, and this is causing a lot of pollution. At the same time, it is causing a lot of deficit. So if we can go to the other slide, please. Okay, so basically the imported fuel, oil, accounts for nearly 30% of the national budget deficit in Lebanon. And every year the government pays on behalf of the Electricité du Liban $1 billion to $1.2 billion for the fuel oil that is being used by the power plants. On top of that, with the crisis that we have been living since 2019, there is a shortage of dollars at the central bank, and now the bank is thinking of cutting all the subsidies, not supporting any imports, or like choosing what imports to support. And there is a discussion now to increase the electricity tariff. And the other, if you want, danger is that Electricité du Liban, which is the only one selling electricity to the population, might end up switching the lights off because of shortage of buying fuel oil. And at the same time, it is expected, like the plan for providing 24/7 for Lebanon electricity by the government is to build new power plants. But unfortunately today, in the situation and the crisis that Lebanon is living in, if there are no reforms, if there is no deal with the IMF, Lebanon will not find anyone to invest into the power plants. So all of this looks very gloomy and doomsday, but at the same time, it provides an opportunity. Lebanese and the population living in the country had been living through war from 1975 till 1990, when the government structure, the institutions were weak, and the population were used to go rogue, if you want, or solo, and to try to provide services by themselves. So this situation with electricity might lead to people to go find solutions by themselves, to go to private solutions, go decentralization in providing electricity, and that would put like a lot of opportunities to go into renewables. If we can go to the next slide. Okay, so the plan for Lebanon to provide energy for the Lebanese, it's like to divest, to get rid of the fuel oil for the power plants, and to replace it by oil, by gas, mainly. So where do we get this gas? The plan was for 14 years now to invest in oil and gas sector and basically offshore gas, same as the rest of the neighbors in the East Mediterranean, like Cyprus, Greece, Israel, and Egypt, Syria, Turkey. So the idea is like, it's the purpose, the objective of developing the oil and gas sector is for the energy security, to shift to gas for power plants. And they feel that if they are oil and gas producers, they might have like some political leverage in the region and outside the region. But the problems that the country is facing is like slow process and political deadlocks had made that for 14 years now, we've been talking about oil and gas, and until today, we have no discoveries. So there are no discoveries of gas. On top of that, with energy transition and with all these policies that are pushing all around the world for energy transition, the project for oil and gas is becoming really, like the opportunities are lessening more and more. So, so let's go to the next slide. So this idea of focusing on oil and gas slowly and slowly is shifting into, okay, what are the alternatives if we are if we're slow on the oil and gas, especially on gas? So renewables, again, you hear about renewables. So there is a great opportunity today with everything that is happening inside the country with the crisis and with energy transition, that the country needs to shift into renewables for generating at least electricity and other things. So what's the situation today? We see today that we have around 350 megawatts of renewable energy power capacity. That includes hydropower and it includes solar power. In 2018, the first large-scale project, Lebanon signed its first power purchase agreement for electricity consumption from renewables, basically from wind, but with a total capacity of 226 megawatts. This project is on hold because of many situations, so still it's not working. But basically, but it's very shy. Like we're talking, Lebanon generates 2,200 megawatts, 2,500. Only out of that, we have 350 that are from renewables. So you see that we are very far from any targets, even like the 12% or 30% that the government had put. So if we can go to the other slide. So, but the opportunity for renewables is growing. And we see a lot of now sectors and a lot of initiatives to include renewables into the energy generation. So if we can go to the next slide, like I still have like 2 minutes and I'm done. Okay, so perfect. So we are because we're facing this crisis in the country, economic crisis, fiscal crisis, and there is a great risk of government not being able to provide electricity. So there are opportunities that are being created, again, because the private sector is very strong in Lebanon, and because the private initiatives are very creative and innovative, and they don't rely on the government structure, on the institutions. And as I said, this is a history that goes back to when there was war in the country and people had to take things in charge. So you see opportunities in crisis time. So this is an ad in the middle of the crisis when we had shortages of dollars, and shortages of electricity. These ads where they are saying that we are providing solar panels. You can light your houses. You can light the fridge. You can switch on the fridge with these installations. You can use it for the washing machine. for your computer, etc. So small scale installations are encouraged, and people are saying that we can even have easy payments for you. We understand now the crisis, but you can use solar panels for your electricity for your houses. At the same time, even industry is going solo. So we see in this ad here, this is a company, a factory that has decided to install on top of their factory solar panels, which will provide 44 kilowatt of solar power plant. It's electricity. They said it will be like, it will give 85% of energy needs in winter and 75% in summer. So this is another opportunity that people are using their rooftops to install solar panels so that they would be able to at least have electricity in case the EDL is not able to provide. So if we can go to the slide. Next, perfect. So other opportunities as well. So we see many municipalities nowadays, they are again installing solar panels so that they would have electricity. So this green municipalities we're talking about, this is one of the municipalities in the north, Bishmazid. It's a small municipality. It has 700 population, but they have decided to go into green, if you want, municipality, have all these solar panels installed. At least the roads are lit by solar, renewable energy. The high school will be using this solar energy for the electricity, and the municipality will use it. The church will use it. So whatever it is around the municipality and where the capacity is, they are using it. And next step will be for residents even to use it, so that they will get rid of the generators that are basically using diesel and very polluting, and to go into green energy and clean energy. And the other big evolution that is happening nowadays is in agriculture. Again, the country is in deep crisis. Everybody was urging Lebanese and the population to go and work in agriculture, to cultivate as much as they can the land, because we're not able to import a lot of the stuff because of the shortage of dollars. So a lot of the agricultures are there are a lot of initiatives going into agriculture now, local agriculture. And here you see that what is being said. It's like you buy our product, they're cheaper than the other places, because first it's organic, second because we're not using the electricity from the air, we're using solar panels, so that is reducing the price. So they're being competitive by using solar energy for their electricity and for other issues that they need in agriculture. So these are so let me go to the last slide. So these are all the opportunities that we see today in the midst of the crisis. But as many have said, we have challenges to overcome, and I guess this project could help in that. First of all, oil and gas will be late to arrive, so power plants will not be built in the coming 2 years. Therefore, renewables will be the most accessible. And for that, we need the implementation of the law, because we need a quicker way of giving licenses, and for pushing for renewables to be injected into the everyday's life. And another new law that is being worked on that might be an advocacy plan for everyone, which is like how to exchange energy. And the opportunities are huge, because with the crisis, new opportunities are being really open. So definitely in agriculture, that will be a big opportunity to find cleaner ways to do agriculture. It will be more popular. People will want to buy it. Energy entrepreneurs are needed. So all of that, these are new skills required. At the same time, like while integrating renewables, it will reduce a bit like the poverty, and it will give more power purchase for the people, because they will pay less money for electricity. At the same time, it will create new jobs. SMEs will be involved in small scale renewable projects that will help in providing new jobs and opportunities for the women and the young generation in the country. And thank you. The current energy transition in Lebanon. And thank you for joining us today. I would now give the floor to another speaker from Lebanon, Dr. Dominique Salameh, expert in the waste management system. He will focus on the waste management system in Lebanon, specifically policy deficiencies, economic patterns, and employment opportunity. Please just remember that you have 7 minutes. Hello. Welcome.
Great. Thank you very much. And I will try to share my screen, and I will be very concise and try to finish on time in 6 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So thank you very much. I will just try to focus on 3 main ideas today, which are the opportunities in the management sector and in agri-food sector in Lebanon, specifically taking opportunity of the crisis that we are living, based on a lot of deficiency in policies, a lot of lack in economical patterns, and a lot of lack in interaction between sectors. So today in Lebanon, we are facing a real crisis, a true crisis in waste management. And this crisis is not due to waste management policy per se, but it is due to a lack of interaction policies between a lot of sectors. In general, politics, economical, but subsectors as well, such as agriculture and energy and industry, which lead to deficiency in the policy of waste management. If we observe just in benchmark a little bit, without going into a lot of details, the European recent confirmation of how should a policy cycle be, we take into account that there is first the policies and the general direction, then we go into establishing strategies with specific targets, such as we need like reduce the consumption of package by 20% by such years, or enhance the recyclability of % by this year. Then we go in legislative frameworks and directive that will combine all these. Then we go in planning, then we go into implementation. Just to highlight that a little review of what we lived in Lebanon since 1975 till today is exactly the reverse of all that benchmark cycles. So if the cycle is from policy to strategy to legislative framework to master planning to implementation in Lebanon, if we go in observing everything that happened, we see that we did exactly just the reverse cycle, which is we implemented, then we tried to master plan, then they recently had the legislative framework. Then after the legislative framework, they decided some strategies, and now we have a complete deficiency in all the policy. So we have a serious problem. And that serious problem, today we are facing it very, very critically because of the economical crisis, and because one of the main problem that we are living in Lebanon is that we forgot to produce, and we forgot to enhance the capacity building in production and to support the industry. Although we have a very high level industrialist and a high level industry, but there is a lot of sub layers that is not combining all the environmental support to the industry in Lebanon. So today we have like a big problem in accessing the raw material because of the economical crisis, and we have a big problem in producing, and we have a big problem in ensuring raw material and products on the Lebanese market, and to export and recover some economical aspects. And where do MYSEA project stands within this? Practically, we have a lot of opportunities. And this project is really important. Why? Because of training and focusing on some special niche where we can really enhance and help this production to go again linking the waste sector with the production sector specifically. Yes, today we have a lot of demand in the entrepreneurship system in waste management, and it is requested as an industrial mitigation strategy. Yes, we can use all the waste existing as raw material if the complete value chain is well designed, and not only that, if we have enough technicians and enough mid-scale workers to work in this value chain. And this is the big target that needs to be tackled today in Lebanon. We need to help the capacity building of these workers that exists, but that are not well trained enough to enter the market of the value chain of recyclability of the waste all over the value chain, from the collection till the treatment and recycling of the material. And we have another problem, which is the link between all the industries together, especially such as the agri-food sector and the recyclability of waste, like as the massive production of compost, which is lacking today in our country. So we have a big opportunity in that, and we need to enhance the capacity building and training of people in this sector. And in parallel, which is very important, the employability in this sector is really requested, really demanded. Why? Because we have the cost of the Lebanese worker today on industrial sector has become really cheap because of the devaluation of the lira, Lebanese lira, which is very important as an opportunity to enhance and to highlight on the importance of the capacity building for the employment of mid-scale workers in waste management value chain linked to industry, specifically to food and agri, waste and recyclability industry. And with this, I will end on time my presentation, and I thank you very much for hearing those.
Overview of the waste management system and the main challenges in Lebanon. The next and last speaker, Ms. Penelope Shihab from Jordan. She's also the founder of the Jordan company for antibody production, Monojo Biotech, and a leading biotech company in the Arab region. So her speech will focus on the challenges and opportunities of women's entrepreneurship in Jordan. Ms. Shihab, the floor is yours. You can activate your microphone and webcam by clicking on the icons at the bottom of the screen. And in the meantime, I would give again the floor to Ms. Lucia Conti, Senior Project Manager of MYSEA for CIES, for the conclusions. Lucia, you managed to get on the floor? Yes, I can see you. Yes. Thank you very much, Lucia.
Okay. So I would like to express my thanks to all the speakers for their compelling presentation. The speakers show us that the sector of implementation of the project, specifically agri-food waste management, comprises in the blue and green economy, face a lot of challenges, but there are a lot of opportunities. We see from Lebanon, for example, from the last intervention, that in Lebanon, Lebanon requires specific skills in the waste management sector. So we will exploit this opportunity. We hope to exploit this opportunity through partnership. I just would like to point out that partnership is not only a mean, but is also one of the objects of the Agenda 2030, is the SDG 17. So I am happy that our project involved all sectors, because only joined all the effort, we will reach a better world, a better Mediterranean, reach also the Agenda 2020, so gender, overcome gender gap, decent work, all objectives that our project would like to contribute to reach. My thanks go to, first of all, to the managing authority. Thank you, Mr. Paloni, for being with us. Also, I know that Mr. Massadi and Zenda are also with us. Also, I thank you for your constant assistance. I would like to thank Mr. Ornelli, the Chancellor, for the award of appreciation of our project, also for the availability of the express on behalf of the Lazio region to collaborate with the project. I special thanks to CIES Onlus Director Elisabetta Melandri for her compelling presentation. And special thanks go to my colleagues from Communication Office, also to the partners, because our partners work hard with us. Also, they suggest these excellent speakers that I again would like to thank. I thank all the people connected today. I thanks the journalists, and I just invite the journalists to take the floor and ask questions. Also, I remind the journalists if they need more that further information, they can contact us separately afterwards. Also, I remind that our is a result-based approach, so please follow us in the social media, because we will weekly update in collaboration with our Lebanese partner, LDN. So please visit us because we will update with our result and output. Also, so I look forward to host you again in our future events. Thank you again to everybody.
I would, as you were mentioning, as the chair was mentioning, we have some representative from the press of the party, and I invite you to raise your hand if you wish to ask a question to the speakers. So we will be able to habilitate your microphone so you can speak directly.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Please, I would like to ask my question to the President, Melandri. Okay. So actually the efforts invested by the European Union in this regard are highly appreciated. No doubt that the impact will bear the fruit of such input, especially against challenging times like COVID-19. My question is of two parts. The first one, how does the European Union perceive the benefits of these strategic projects on both sides of the Mediterranean? This is the first one. Second, how, in your opinion, can target groups benefit after the implementation of MYSEA from this Euromed networking effect? And thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Assaf, Ms. Melandri, would you like to answer the questions? Are you able to take the floor and activate your microphone?
Yes. I must admit that I didn't very well. First of all, I would like to know, do you represent a newspaper, or who do I have the pleasure to respond to first?
Okay.
And secondly, okay, I didn't get very well straight the two questions, especially the second one. Could you please be more explicit? Also, there was a bit of fall of the connection, so if you can repeat.
Okay, sure. I represent Lebanese Development Network.
Okay.
Okay. So my question is of two parts. Okay, how does the EU perceive the benefits of these strategic projects on both sides of the Mediterranean? This is the first part of my question. The second part is how, in your opinion, can target groups benefit after the implementation of MYSEA from this Euromed networking effect?
Well, hello, pleased to meet you. As far as the first question is concerned, obviously, like all European projects of wide partnership, how does the EU perceive the results? One should ask the EU rather than the implementers, but it is our task to develop a mainstream sensitization of the results of the best practices. It's every European project with wide partnership imbues this objective. It's part and parcel of the project. We always say that all our projects are pilot experiences. They cannot resolve all the problems, but they become a very important flag. You know, this is much more than a flag, because the target group is very wide and the objectives are very concrete, because they are training courses, employment, real things, not just studies, or not just sharing of good practices, but the outcome has to be jobs and insertion of youth and women in the marketplace in those sectors, food and waste management, within the blue and green economy. So it will be up to us, to all the partners, to do all our best to promote in a mainstream. And I think the EU environment perceives what comes from the overall European public opinion. So it's very important to campaign on the issues and on the results of the project. Now, the second question is, how will the target benefit the target groups? Well, the target groups, as I said, I mean, the project has been well described by Lucia, has a number of steps. The first step is to focus on what is needed, and that is the whole stage of the research, the whole stage of the appraisal. Who are the stakeholders on the field? Where are the novelties of the labor market? So at the end of the day, the project will be a success, as I said before, if it does deliver occupability, if it does deliver chances of jobs for youth and women, and that we will measure. As I said, it's not a project of just sharing philosophies, sharing even best practice, which is a useful thing, but it has, at the end of the stage, deliver occupation, employment. So that will be the result, and that is how the target group will perceive the result. If a young guy, a woman, or male youth, and if a woman is returned in a satisfactory, requalified, and innovative manner to the labor market, then the project will have had success. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I would make a step back because I can see that Ms. Shihab from Jordan, founder of the Jordan Company for Antibody Production, she's online. Can you try to activate your microphone, please?
Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm so sorry for that technical problem, but I will try to be very fast. Would love to talk about Jordan today and entrepreneurship situation in Jordan, challenges, opportunities, and what's next during this pandemic year and post-pandemic year. Jordan is a very small country. We're about and out of this 10 million people, 70% of us are under 30 years old. So most of us are young people. Unfortunately, 40% of this 70% of us are unemployed, unemployed. And another problem we do have that we have a gender gap at about 55% in the country in the workforce participation between males and females. Many challenges facing the women employment in Jordan, and many challenges. I can talk about some of these, and we're already in our way to overcome most of our challenges. But as you all know, that Jordan is family-oriented culture style. So most of our women and females have family responsibilities, which make the top priority for the female is the family. The other thing is our stereotyping for the female and looking at the woman in general as a woman to raise kids and a woman to serve at home, not an entrepreneur or not a businesswoman or even professional woman. So this is another challenging. Networking and communication in the country is limited, especially for women. The lack of role models of successful entrepreneurs with the other responsibilities is also something you can't see as much in the country. We have a problem in the physical mobility and transportation, where in people in the rural areas, especially women, they can't come to the capital and work in the capital and go back because we don't have that strong transportation systems, public transportation systems like trains or metros or even private cheap or acceptable means. We have another problem, which is access to finance and funding. If a woman have all the liberty to go and to start a business, she will face a problem of funding the business. And now we're working on making a chain of accelerators, incubators, startups, mentors, and many stakeholders to push forward women entrepreneurship in general, but also we're focusing on women entrepreneurship. Here for MYSEA project, we also lack to skills and trainings. Skills like communication skills, pitching skills for investors, putting a business plan, studying a feasibility study, communicating with the international business owners, getting opportunities to the country. All this kind of skills are lacked for women in general, for the people in general, but for specifically for the women. So I found that this project is a big opportunity for our women to take the chance and get more skills and build their capacities in the country. Today, I also see an opportunity after the pandemic in the country, the access to the technology and digital economy, where we can work as agriculture, food industries and owners and professionals. Whatever you want to do, you can sell them, you can trade with them, you can show them, you can brand the products. I'm not talking about the conventional ways of a woman to work in the agri-food or the green technology projects, or even the blue economy as you named it, but also enable their professional skills to go to the bigger markets. Today, any woman can sit down at her home, taking care of her kids, and at the same time designing a brand, shipping a product, whatever she wants to do, she can do all of this in her house. This is the opportunity I'm trying to get our people and women in general to innovate and to focus on, to get economic development activities for their families, for the country in general, and economic development for the families in different fields. We're not talking about the agriculture specifically, but also we're talking about tourism, we're talking about energy, we're talking about industrial mining, or whatever. I would stop here and let the floor for others, because I don't want to repeat so many things has been mentioned by the other presenters. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You.
Thank you for this overview on women and unemployment and entrepreneurship challenges in Jordan. I don't know if anyone of the press representative wishes to take the floor and ask questions to the speakers of today. Otherwise, you can also use the chat if you wish to type your questions. If there is no one that wishes to intervene or wishes to ask a question, I would conclude the conference here. I thank you everyone for joining us today for this conference. I would maybe give the floor to Lucia for the last conclusions.
We have already concluded with thanks everybody. I only just reiterate my thanks to all the speakers. Yes, for the compelling presentation, to the managing authorities, private, public sector. Also, I remind the importance, the key of the partnership, because only join all the efforts, also join with other projects like this. Also, to add something to the question from Lebanon about the European Union. We are not alone. We are not the only project within the big NEETs CBC MED Programme. MYSEA project is only one of these. So we will implement a synergy in the Mediterranean with similar initiative funded by the European Union. Without synergy and without joint effort, we cannot reach any result, just few results. But we expect just a multiplicative effects in the Mediterranean, joint all the effort and interacting with other same project, similar project. So thank you again, and thank you also to all the Plus and all the technical staff for this perfect assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all the participants, and good luck with the outcomes of the project. All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.